You can always tell when something is about to break through in someone's life, not by how perfect things are, but by how much pressure they're under. See, greatness doesn't announce itself with trumpets. It walks in quietly, almost unnoticed, like a whisper in the chaos, a calm in the storm. And when a woman is on the verge of her greatest blessing, it doesn't look like what people expect. It's not always polished. It's not always loud, but oh, it's powerful, it's divine, and if you look closely, you can see the signs. You'll know she's close when the battle gets intense, when the pressure tightens, when everything that can go wrong seems to show up all at once. That's not punishment, that's preparation, that's the fire before the breakthrough, because nothing great ever emerges without a little heat. Diamonds don't form in the light, they are made deep in the dark, under pressure. So when her soul feels like it's being stretched, when she's walking through days that feel too heavy, too long, too uncertain, that's not her end, that's her becoming. When a woman is about to receive something extraordinary, her circle often shrinks. People fall off, conversations feel different, the phone doesn't ring like it used to, and it hurts, because we're wired for connection, for community. But sometimes isolation is God's strategy. He's not subtracting. He's positioning. Because some blessings are too big to be carried with the wrong people around. Some victories require silence, solitude, and when she starts noticing that the crowd is thinning, when the familiar comfort fades, that's not rejection, that's refinement. She'll also feel a shift in her spirit. It's subtle but undeniable, a pull toward something more, a restlessness in places she once called home. Foods don't taste the same. Music doesn't hit like it used to. Friends she used to laugh with now feel distant. That's because her soul is growing. Her roots are stretching down and her vision is rising up. That kind of spiritual tension is not a curse. It's a signal. Her spirit knows something her mind hasn't caught up to yet. Something beautiful is on the way, and her soul is trying to get ready. Another powerful sign. She gets tested in the very area she's been praying for. The woman who's been asking for peace will face storms. The woman praying for love will face loneliness. The one asking for purpose might feel lost, but that's not contradiction. That's calibration. God doesn't just give us what we ask for. He builds us into who we need to be to hold it. So those tests, those moments that feel like the opposite of the blessing, that's just the construction site of the promise. That's the blueprint coming to life. She'll also find herself letting go, not because she wants to, but because she has to. The version of her that's about to be blessed is not the same as the version who's been surviving. So old habits have to die. Old mindsets have to fall. She starts saying no more. She doesn't chase. She doesn't beg. She doesn't water down who she is to fit into spaces that were never made for her. That letting go is holy. That release is sacred. Because what's coming is too big to coexist with what she's been holding onto. And when she finally unclenches her fists and lets go, that's when heaven moves, and here's another thing, her faith deepens. Not because everything is going right, but because nothing makes sense. And yet she still believes, she still hopes, she still shows up. That kind of faith, that's not surface level, that's not Instagram deep, that's soul-rooted, battle-tested, storm-proof faith. That's the kind of belief that unlocks blessings no man can stop. And even when her knees are shaky, and her voice trembles, and the tears come more than the smiles, she prays, she speaks life, she refuses to quit. That's not weakness, that's power. She starts to walk differently. She begins to carry herself like a woman who knows she's chosen. She may not have seen the blessing yet, but her posture changes. Her energy shifts. She's not waiting for validation. She is the confirmation, and it's not arrogance. It's awareness. She's aware that something divine is unfolding, that even in her confusion, something holy is happening. That's what happens when a woman is on the verge of something incredible. Her presence starts to change the atmosphere, not because of what she has, but because of who she's becoming. Sometimes the most powerful moment of all is the quiet one. When she finally surrenders, not with defeat, but with trust. When she lifts her hands not to give up, but to give into purpose, to alignment, to timing. That surrender is not weakness, it's wisdom. It's saying, I may not have all the answers, but I trust the process, I trust the plan, and when a woman gets to that place, that's when everything shifts, heaven leans in, doors open, miracles show up. Because blessings don't just follow talent or beauty or effort. They follow obedience. They follow surrender. And see, the world may not notice her shift right away. People may still doubt her. They may still gossip, misunderstand, overlook. But that doesn't matter, because when God is about to elevate you, He doesn't need the world's applause. He just needs your faith, your focus, your willingness to keep walking, even when the road is unclear. And the woman who holds on, who keeps loving, who keeps serving, who keeps believing even when it hurts, she's not just strong, she's chosen, and chosen people are always marked by the battle before the blessing. And yes, she may cry some nights. She may have to encourage herself. She may feel like the weight of the world is pressing on her chest, but she keeps moving. She keeps breathing. She keeps speaking life into dry places. Because deep down, she knows this is not the end. This is the threshold. This is the cocoon. This is the moment right before the wings stretch out. She's not who she used to be. She's evolving, and evolution is messy. It doesn't happen in straight lines. It happens in breakdowns, in quiet nights, in lonely drives, in journal pages stained with tears. But make no mistake, she's not breaking down. She's breaking through. She's not losing herself. She's finding her purpose, and everything she thought was against her, it's actually working for her. There's a fire in her now, a knowing, a quiet strength that doesn't need to shout. She's not impressed by the same things. She's not moved by noise. She's anchored in something deeper, and that kind of woman, she's dangerous to anything that's fake. She's a threat to mediocrity. Because when a woman realizes she was made for more love, more truth, more joy, more purpose, she stops settling. She stops explaining. She stops apologizing for her light. So if you see a woman who looks like she's in transition, who's walking through the valley but still smiling, who's crying but still showing up, who's tired but still believing, don't pity her, don't underestimate her, don't you dare count her out, because that's the woman who's about to walk into something the world can't take credit for. Something that's been written in the heavens since the beginning of time, something her spirit has been aching for. She's on the edge of it, her greatest blessing, her divine reward, the kind of blessing that's not just for her, but for everyone connected to her. The kind of blessing that shifts bloodlines, that breaks generational curses, that opens doors not just for herself, but for others to walk through. That's why the fight's been so hard. That's why the attacks have been so personal. Because the enemy always fights the hardest when he knows what's coming is holy, and what's coming for her, it's worth every tear, every delay, every heartbreak, every detour, because what's coming is not just good, it's God. And when God moves, no one can stop it. No one can block it. No one can compete with it, because it was never about status or timing or luck. It was about destiny. So if you are that woman, if you feel like you're in between what was and what will be, don't give up, don't shrink back, don't question your worth based on temporary pain. You are not forgotten, you are not forsaken, you are being prepared, you are being stretched, and yes, it's uncomfortable, but it's necessary, because you are too valuable to remain average, you are too anointed to play small, you are too chosen to stay stuck. Your blessing is not behind you, it's not lost, it's ahead. and you're closer than you think. Closer than it looks, closer than it feels. So hold on, keep walking, keep praying, keep becoming, because heaven is about to open, and when it does, your life will never be the same again. When a woman is close to her greatest blessing, her discernment sharpens. She begins to see things clearly, not just people, but patterns. Cycles she used to fall into no longer have the same grip. She notices the energy in the room. She senses when something isn't aligned. She can smile, but still protect her peace. She can speak love, but still guard her soul. That kind of discernment isn't learned from a book. It's born through pain, through waiting, through watching. And that discernment becomes her compass. It helps her say, not everything that looks good is meant for me. Not everyone who claps is cheering from the right place. She no longer chases clarity from the outside, because she's found something more powerful, peace on the inside. She no longer needs every answer. She doesn't beg for every explanation. She understands that some things are revealed in time. And while she used to need to see the whole staircase before she took the first step, now she just needs a whisper. Now she just needs a nudge from the Spirit, and that's enough. She moves not because everything is laid out, but because she's learned to trust what's unseen more than what's seen. There's also a silence about her now, not because she's got nothing to say, but because she's learned the power of keeping certain things sacred. She used to announce her plans. She used to over-explain her worth. She used to argue for her value, but now she lets her fruit speak. She lets her consistency speak. She lets her peace speak, because she's no longer trying to convince anyone. She's too focused on becoming. And the woman who no longer seeks to prove herself, she's powerful beyond measure, because she's no longer distracted by noise. She's locked in on purpose, and there's beauty in that stillness, in that sacred quiet where she and God have their conversations, where she weeps, prays, laughs, and dreams without the world watching. That's where her oil comes from. That's where her anointing is cultivated, not in crowds, not on stages, but in the hidden places. In the places where no one's clapping, no one's calling, just her and the divine. That's where the real work happens. That's where the blessing begins to take shape, not just outside of her, but within her. She's not scared of the dark anymore, because she's realized that the dark isn't where things end, it's where they begin. Seeds don't grow in sunlight first. They grow in soil, in hidden, buried places. She understands now that just because no one sees her blooming doesn't mean she isn't growing, and that gives her peace, that gives her patience, because when you know that timing is divine, you stop rushing what's sacred. You stop forcing what's not meant, you stop resenting the wait, and you start embracing the preparation. There's a sacredness in how she carries herself now. She used to move from desperation. Now she moves from discernment. She used to seek validation. Now she walks in revelation. Her identity no longer hangs on what people say. It hangs on what she knows, and what she knows is that she was born for more. She's not arrogant, she's aware. She's not cocky, she's called. She's not trying to be above anyone. She's just not willing to live beneath what she was created for anymore. People may not understand her shift. They might say she's changed, that she's distant, that she's not the same. And they're right. She's not. Because when you're about to be blessed with something great, you can't carry the same version of you into that space. The upgrade requires an update. And she's doing the work, even if it's lonely, even if it costs her company, even if it makes people uncomfortable, because the cost of staying the same is far greater than the cost of evolving. She's learned to bless others even when she's bleeding, to show up for others even when she's tired, but now she's also learning to show up for herself, to speak over her own soul, to nurture her own spirit, because she finally realized She can't pour from an empty cup. And the blessing that's coming requires a full vessel. So now she's tending to herself, not out of selfishness, but out of stewardship, because she knows now she's the vessel, she's the carrier, and what's coming through her will affect generations. She no longer fears failure. She understands that failure isn't the opposite of success, it's part of the path. She's learned that missteps don't disqualify her, they develop her. She doesn't hide from her past, she's redeemed by it. She doesn't pretend to be perfect, she's healed from the inside out. And when you meet a woman who's healed, who's faced herself, who's forgiven herself, that's a woman who cannot be shaken. That's a woman who walks with fire in her eyes and grace in her stride. Her prayers have changed too. They've gone from "Lord, bless me," to "Lord, make me ready," from "take the pain away," to "give me strength to carry it with purpose," from "why me," to "use me," that kind of shift. That's maturity. That's what happens when she stops living for comfort and starts living for calling. She's no longer praying for easy. She's praying for effective. She's praying for eternal impact, because she knows now. Temporary applause fades, but eternal purpose echoes, and she's not just dreaming anymore. She's building. She's not just hoping. She's preparing, because she knows that faith without works is dead. So she's putting her hands to the plow. She's writing the vision. She's showing up every day, even if progress is slow, even if no one notices, because she's no longer doing it for the recognition. She's doing it for the result, for the impact, for the fulfillment of the call that's been whispering in her soul since she was a little girl. She's learned to forgive, not because they apologized, not because it was fair, but because she refuses to be chained to what broke her. She understands now unforgiveness is too expensive, bitterness is too heavy, so she blesses and releases. She cries and lets go, because her destiny is too important to be delayed by old wounds. And when she forgives, she creates space for peace, for clarity, for elevation. Forgiveness is not weakness, it's spiritual power. She sees herself differently now. She doesn't just see her flaws, she sees her growth. She sees the warrior within. She sees the woman who survived what should have destroyed her. She honors herself, not with ego, but with truth. She stands in the mirror and sees not just a body, not just a face, but a testimony, a vessel of grace, a living, breathing miracle. And when she worships now, it's different. It's not routine. It's not surface. It's soul, deep, because now she worships from a place of knowing what it's like to be low, to feel forgotten, to wonder if the promise was a lie. And yet she's still standing, she's still breathing, she's still believing. That kind of worship, that kind shakes heaven, that kind opens doors no man can close. There's power in her presence now. When she walks in the room, the atmosphere shifts, not because of her appearance, but because of her authority. Because she's been through fire and came out refined. She's faced storms and still stands with her head held high. And that kind of woman, she's not moved by trends. She's not shaken by opinions. She walks in truth, and truth has a weight, a gravity, a presence. You can feel it before she even speaks, and when she does speak, her words carry life, they carry wisdom. Because she doesn't speak just to be heard. She speaks to heal, to encourage, to awaken. And people listen differently now, because when someone speaks from experience, from brokenness turned beauty, from trials turned testimony, there's a frequency to that. A sound heaven recognizes, a sound hell fears. She doesn't envy anymore. She doesn't compare. She's learned that what's for her will not pass her, that another woman's blessing is not her competition. It's her confirmation. So she celebrates others freely. She claps for women who shine. She supports without bitterness, because she knows when it's her time, nothing can stop it. And when it's not her time, no amount of striving will make it happen. So she rests, she trusts, she honors the process. That's why she's dangerous now, because she's not chasing. She's attracting, not performing, but walking in purpose. And there's nothing more magnetic than a woman who knows who she is, who knows who she belongs to, who knows that her value isn't tied to a season, or a man, or a job, or a title, but to her Creator. And make no mistake, her blessing isn't just material. It's not just about money or status or possessions. It's deeper than that. Her blessing is peace, joy, alignment, love that doesn't hurt, friendships that don't drain, work that fulfills, a life that reflects the light inside her. And when she steps into that, when she walks in the fullness of who she was created to be, everything around her changes. So don't judge her by the struggle. Don't define her by the season she's in, because the woman you see today is not the woman who's about to emerge. The woman who's weary now is the same woman who will soon walk in glory. The woman who's been pressed, shaken, and stretched is the same woman who will soon overflow, because her greatest blessing isn't a distant dream. It's closer than ever, and she's being prepared not just to receive it, but to sustain it. She's stopped asking for shortcuts because she's realized the blessing isn't just in the destination, it's in the development. She's learning to love the climb, not just the view from the top, because that climb, that's where she found her voice, that's where she uncovered her grit, that's where she discovered that everything she needed was already inside her. The world told her she had to be chosen by someone else. Life told her she needed permission, but now she knows she was always chosen. She was already approved, not by man, but by the one who formed her in the womb. And when you walk with that kind of knowledge, you move different, you love different, you dream different. She doesn't let broken people define her anymore. She understands that sometimes pain speaks louder than truth. And when people can't handle her light, they'll try to dim it, but not anymore. She's learned to keep shining, even when it makes others uncomfortable. She's learned that her confidence is not arrogance, that her boundaries are not bitterness, that her growth is not betrayal. It's simply elevation, and she's allowed to rise. She's allowed to change. She's allowed to leave behind anything that no longer serves her healing or her purpose. She's not afraid to be alone now, because she's finally found companionship in her own company. She doesn't need noise to feel valuable. She doesn't need a crowd to feel seen. She's learned to sit in silence and still feel full. That kind of inner peace, that's the soil of blessing, because blessings don't thrive in chaos. They thrive in clarity. And when her soul is still, when her spirit is anchored, she can hear what the world can't say. She can feel what the surface can't show. And that's where her power comes from. Not just what she knows, but what she senses. She's no longer living off potential. She's walking in purpose. She used to daydream about what could be. Now she's making it happen. Step by step, day by day, even when she's scared, even when the vision feels bigger than her, because she knows now. Purpose will stretch you before it blesses you. It will test your endurance. It will prune your pride. But it will never fail to fulfill you, because true purpose doesn't drain. It ignites. It breathes life into dry places, and she's finally tapped into that fire that doesn't burn out. She doesn't chase closure anymore. She stopped reopening wounds to explain her healing. She's learned to walk away without needing the last word. She's learned that peace is better than being right, that silence is sometimes louder than confrontation, and that letting go doesn't mean losing. It means choosing herself, choosing her peace, choosing the future over the past. And when you've done that enough times, you realize that freedom isn't found in fixing everything. It's found in trusting that some things are better left behind. She's no longer afraid to take up space, to speak boldly, to walk fully in who she is. She used to shrink to make others comfortable, used to silence her intuition to avoid conflict, but not anymore. Now she walks tall, not to overshadow anyone, but to honor the light within her, because she's learned it's not humility to play small. It's fear disguised as virtue, and she's done with fear. She's done with pretending. Now she owns every part of her story, every scar, every win, every transformation, because it's all part of her becoming. Her prayers have grown deeper too. She no longer asks just for things. She asks for wisdom, for insight, for patience, for strategy. She asks for divine alignment, not just opportunities, because she's learned that not every open door is her door, that not every blessing comes from above, and now she waits for peace. She waits for confirmation. She listens for the quiet yes in her spirit before she says yes in the natural. That's discernment, and it saves her from detours dressed as destiny. She pours into herself now the same way she used to pour into people who never poured back. She speaks kindly to herself. She feeds her mind with truth. She surrounds herself with people who don't just admire her, they respect her, people who challenge her, who pray for her, who celebrate her even in private. Because she understands now, who you surround yourself with is a prophecy of where you're going, and she's careful with her circle. She's guarding her space like the treasure it is, because peace is not a luxury, it's a requirement. There's a glow on her that money can't buy, a grace that can't be imitated, because it's not about looks, it's about light, it's about presence, it's about energy, the kind that comes from walking through fire and refusing to be consumed, the kind that comes from crying on the bathroom floor, then getting up and still believing. That kind of woman carries a different kind of oil, the kind that costs something, the kind that came with sacrifice, with surrender, with nights she'll never talk about and mornings she had to pray herself into. She's not desperate for love anymore. She's done begging to be chosen. She's not lowering herself to be accepted. She knows what she brings. She knows what she deserves, and she'd rather wait in wholeness than settle in pieces. She's no longer attracted to potential. She's drawn to character. She's looking at consistency, not charm. At fruit, not promises, because she's preparing not just for romance, but for partnership, for legacy, for alignment that goes beyond the surface and touches the soul. She's not in competition with other women. She understands now. Her lane is hers. Her blessing is hers. Her story is hers. So she builds with other women. She uplifts. She mentors. She protects, because she's healed enough to want others to win too. And that kind of energy, that multiplies. That kind of woman doesn't just chase blessings. She becomes a blessing. She's walking lighter now, not because life got easier, but because she released what was never hers to carry. The opinions, the guilt, the shame, the regret, she laid it down, and now she's free, not perfect, but free, not without wounds, but without bondage, and freedom looks good on her. It looks like rest, like laughter, like boundaries, like joy that isn't performative but rooted, like strength that doesn't roar but radiates. She's not afraid of hard work. She's not afraid to start over. She's not afraid of being misunderstood, because she knows sometimes the path to greatness is paved in isolation. Sometimes the glow-up is quiet. Sometimes the blessing takes time, but she's willing. She's patient, because she understands that when God does it, it's done right. No shortcuts, no rush, just divine order, and the best part, she's not doing it alone anymore. She's invited God into every room, every decision, every dream. She's no longer leaning on her own strength. She's surrendered, and in that surrender, she's found a strength she never knew she had, the kind that doesn't make sense to the world, the kind that keeps her anchored in the storm, that gives her hope in the dark, that tells her, keep going, you're closer than you think. She's not just surviving anymore, she's thriving, she's becoming, and there's more ahead, so much more. Because when a woman aligns with her divine design, when she lets go of fear and embraces faith, when she chooses healing over hiding, there's no limit to what can flow through her. Her blessing isn't just near, it's already in motion. And she's ready to receive it. So if you see her walking different, talking different, loving different, Don't question it. Don't try to make sense of it. Just know she's aligned now. She's tapped into something eternal. And when a woman comes into alignment with her creator, with her calling, with her crown, that's when everything begins to shift. The atmosphere shifts, the doors open, the favor flows, because now she's not chasing blessings, she is the blessing. And the world better get ready, because she's not who she used to be. She's who she was always meant to become. And her greatest season, it's not coming,